Hi, Itamar.
Hello, Fuz. Thanks a lot for having me. How are you?
Oh, it's just such an exciting day for me to have you on my video podcast, video interviews, because you are such a gem. As I know you from ClubHouse, you always give wise and really effective tips and tricks. Actually, they are not tricks, they are real solutions for people to help their SEO. Before starting, I also give brief information about myself. Hey everybody, this is Firuze Gökçe. I am a startup advisor and I like to learn more about SEO. So that's why I decided to create this video interviews to talk with experts and have their ideas and background. So Itamar, I want to give your bio so that my audience will learn more about you. Itamar Blauer is an SEO expert based in London. He has a proven track record of increasing rankings in SEO that is UX focused, data baked, and creative. And Itamar also have SEO and keyword book, so you can find it if you click on his profile on this blog post. So, Itamar, I hope everything is going on well in your world, given the we are at the end of the 2021. And what's your take on 2021?
Wow, I think 2021 has gone by extremely quickly, I think. Yeah, I feel like recently just months have just been zooming past. I don't know how you feel, but yeah, it's been an eventful year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you my first question. What are common SEO mistakes in 2021 and how can you avoid them?
Yeah, that's a good question to start off. I think something that I still see happening a lot this year is when people are trying to optimize their websites, but they're kind of missing out the kind of basics or not using too much common sense, if I can phrase it like that. And what I mean by that is, for example, considering the users that you might want to have on your website, it's like everything has to start with the users. And I think a lot of people try and kind of jump through hoops and say, okay, well, I'm going to right off the bat, yeah, we need to build lots of links. And it's like, have you even thought about the kind of journey that a user might want to take on your site? Have you considered what they might want to be searching for? Have you considered the amount of competition you have? It's like, there's a lot of things that need to kind of happen. And I don't want to call it like a checklist because I don't like phrasing it as that, but I think it's more due diligence. I think due diligence is very important. So the mistake that I'm seeing is, like I said, people jumping through hoops and not really analyzing their situation. Because you know, not everything in SEO can just be copied and pasted to different websites, right? It's like each kind of website will have its own, you know, it's its own site, it's unique. So that means that you have to have a unique approach for it. And so the way to kind of avoid this mistake that I mentioned is to just be, well, to conduct due diligence and also to be much more focused on the actual business behind it and the brand and kind of what it is you want to get out of SEO in general, because, you know, not every website on earth is necessarily fit out to get, you know, more visitors potentially. I know that might sound weird, but, you know, not every site out there needs to like the same level of thinking when it comes to optimizing a site. So everything has to be tailored. And I think it's just important to analyze it on a case by case basis.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Actually, you just mentioned each factor that is impacting SEO in a very concise way. And if I can add a little, some little points on it, I was just listening Rand Fiskin's podcast, and what he was talking about is how important branded search on SEO is, because what he says, and this is backed by data, of course, because he's running SparkToro right now about audience insights and statistics. And what he came up is when you just work on your branding and make people know about you, so they do more brand research or searching. And then more brand searching means that more people aware of your solutions and they like it, and that's why they search it more. So this brings more traffic, but it's a quality traffic because it could be easily convertible traffic. So that's a unique case, and you really need to understand your story in it. And link building is become over the years. In the beginning, it was a good thing, but then people use it and manipulate it, and then link building is just really hard to explain, but not a very good practice recently. So as you say, when you know the story and when you know your customer's journey, that's more important than just directly jumping in to, hey, let's build links, and hey, these are the keywords, let's write content. But nobody is thinking about at what stage the content is corresponding in terms of search intent. Is it a top of the funnel or bottom of the funnel? So I really agree with every word that you just talked about.
Yeah, I mean, because with that, like the thing that you mentioned about the research and what Rand Fishkin was saying, I mean, it is common sense, right? It's like the more people that actually search for you, that gives a good signal to Google and search engines anyway, because it's all direct traffic. Well, not direct traffic, but it's like direct searches for your brand name on Google. And that obviously helps solidify in terms of, well, do people see you as a trusted source if you've got loads of people from all around the country or the world searching for you? Absolutely, yes. And I think to clarify the thing about link building, like I still think link building is very important. But I think it's like, if that's the first thing people jump on without considering the basics of like looking at what kind of assets they have on their website that would be even worthwhile to try and build links to, it's like that's where the issue is, if people just try and jump through hoops and not kind of consider the kind of journey that's relevant for their unique position.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that you talked about, the competitive analysis, that's almost a backbone of what you need to do, because this is who you are as a product or as a company. That's how you pursue yourself. And this is what's out there that people pursue as a resource. So if you don't understand what are your competitors are doing, then how can you position yourself in the right way so that you can express yourself and really solve a problem? It's just, and competitive analysis in a way gives you a kind of a checklist, because you see what your competitors are doing and not doing. So then you can think about, hey, if they do not mention or give solution in that point, I will be the one to provide that solution. And then I will be the one who will gain a competitive advantage over the others. So I am so curious about, you are talking about in your videos on keyword pioneering. Can you just please explain us a little bit detail?
Yeah, sure. So keyword pioneering is a term that I kind of made up because I think in terms of the way a lot of SEOs consider keywords, like a lot of them approach it from what I think to be the kind of wrong way. And what I mean by that is specifically to do with search volume, because I feel like search volume is a metric that a lot of SEOs take too seriously. And it's like, it's important to understand, first of all, how search volume is calculated, right? So if like a tool is taking the API from Google Keyword Planner and just using that, or sometimes it's going to be combining that data with clickstream data, which is directly from ISPs. So the bottom line is it's never going to be 100% accurate. And I think that's very important. So the term keyword pioneering is all about, well, let's just think of as it, like considering that you in your industry or your business, you're an expert in your field and you really understand your industry, then you should be able to always keep up to date with the sorts of things people want from your industry, or whether that's product wise or service wise or whatever. And it's more thinking in the future, kind of. It's like in the near future of saying, well, what do we think is going to be happening in the industry? How's it going to be changing? And as a result of that, what are people going to be looking for? So an example of that is with the company that I work for, Cure Media. So they basically are an influencer marketing agency. And so I was kind of thinking, well, what is it that's kind of really hot in the industry, or what's going to be happening that's people are going to be looking for in the next, 1 to 3 or maybe 5 years. So one example of that is the term always on influencer marketing, which is starting to become used a lot now across the industry. Now, when you do that, put that keyword in to a keyword research tool, doesn't matter what it is, you'll find either like it'll say 0 search volume or it'll say maybe 10 search volume. And it's like, well, that's not entirely accurate, because, we know as experts in our industry that the term always on influencer marketing is going to be more popular over time, and that people are already searching for it. So it's like, that's where keyword pioneering comes in, because you're almost using that knowledge that you have about the industry to then be able to create content and create pages that optimize for these keywords, so that you're in a much better position by the time that term actually is become like fully mainstream within your industry, and you're already in prime position to get all of this targeted traffic. Yeah. So, that's something that I've implemented as a kind of case study for the concept of keyword pioneering. And, we're getting a lot of traffic that way as well, even though keyword research tools might tell me that there's absolutely no search volume associated with it, which of course is not entirely true. So yeah, that's the concept of keyword pioneering.
Yeah, it seems like for the keyword research tools, they have a band, that they cover. They like, because it's a budget thing. They were crawling the web and they were spending their resources. So first thing perhaps in their list to do is just go to the most popular keywords to check out, their search volume, and including Google. And then they don't aware of, the system is not aware of a new term that is in the market or that is almost trending. So I think that's why it's not, we cannot trust only the keyword research tools, but what we need to do is a detailed, as you say, industry analysis and also trend analysis, and just marry all those things together to come up with your great example or great term for this kind of a process called keyword pioneering. It's just, actually, this is really so related with the industry, the area that you are trying to gain edge and trying to outrank your competitors. That's brilliant, actually. And yeah. I think influential marketing has a lot to do with that, that you really see the trend before everybody, because with the influencer marketing, it's more, I think, emotional, and you can directly see how people are reacting to something that you are doing or presenting.
Yeah, and it's also to do with data as well. And it's like with the keyword research tools, like it's not to say that keyword research tools are bad and we shouldn't use them, but I think it's more about, you've got to really not be too dependent, because it's like the other example with search volume is around, things that are quite seasonal. It's like you can see if you check the search volume for Christmas, it's going to be very different, in the autumn and kind of winter time than it would be in the spring and summer. So it's like, it's just about, I think, like a mix of common sense, a mix of intuition, a mix of data that you might have by really being an expert within your niche or your industry. And then mixing all that together to come up with a kind of content strategy that actually makes sense. And it's not just entirely dependent on keyword research tools. As good as they can be, it's like we can't be too reliant, I think.
No, I mean, that makes total sense, actually. And, we have to do, as practitioners, we always need to think in that broader aspect so that we can really make profitable and fruitful decisions, and also help the user find what he is looking for. Because at the end of the day, what we are doing is not optimizing our site. We are providing a solution for the user, and we want the user to find it. That's a very human approach, so we really need to go with this broader aspect and human approach. Oh yeah, there is another popular thing that we've been talking about a few minutes ago too. What are you thinking about backlinks with HARO?
Yeah,
can you explain what HARO is, because not everybody quite familiar about HARO?
Yeah, sure. So HARO is it stands for Help a Reporter Out, and it's a kind of a service that you sign up to, and you can essentially select categories that you would like to get kind of queries from journalists who are maybe writing a piece, and they want some input from experts related to all sorts of different industries. So of course, with HARO, and when you go to answer a pitch, a lot of times in the requirements, people will kind of say what they're looking for, what they want you to answer, and they'll mention that they want you to add your name or your bio, a link to a headshot, and a link to your social media or website. So that's where obviously you can get a backlink from if you get a link to your website. So I've built a lot of links with HARO, not just for myself, but for clients. I think it's still pretty good. Obviously, it's become so well known that it does get quite competitive. So in terms of building links with HARO, I think the most important things is to only answer pitches that you actually know you can provide value for, because if you start answering everything, it's like just the quality of the answers are not going to be high. And then I think the other thing that's important is about answering the request quite quickly if you can, because I wouldn't want to be a journalist. Journalists, it's very difficult, the job that they have. It's very much filled with all sorts of people all the time, sending them emails, trying to contact them. It's very difficult. So answering quickly answering with great comprehensive answers that would help them out is probably the best way to go, because then you can potentially build relationships with these journalists, and they can even reach out to you if they've got any future stories.
I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's cool. But yeah, like if they've got any other future pieces that they're doing, then they can reach out to you directly, because they know that you've helped them out in the past. So yeah, that's what I would say about HARO link building. I mean, it's still really good, but obviously only do it if you've actually got value to add.
Yeah, that's a good point to mention. The news reporters have lots of people and things to attend to, and then they were just lost, and concise and really great content will help them and create long-term relationships with you. Yeah, that's totally true. Can Can you explain what is link prospecting is?
Yeah, so link prospecting is when you're looking to build backlinks, you need to understand a lot about the kind of websites you might want to target. So like if you are doing outreach, prospecting is about getting a list of sites and being able to analyze them and seeing if they're a right fit for you, if it makes sense for your website to get a link from their website. And there's plenty of different ways to do this. I think the most generic answer that I can give, which is actually probably the most important, is about whether or not the site that you are trying to reach out to is relevant to your industry, and if it actually can add value in terms of how, like, do they write about similar content to you? If a website is too broad, then it might not be as potent, because if you've got a website writing about technology, sports, health, and lifestyle topics, and you're a sports website, Google is going to understand that that website that you're trying to get a link from, it covers all of these different bases, and that's a confusing thing. Not everyone or not every website is able to write about all sorts of topics extremely well, and I think it's quite rare that happens, right? So that's why I think relevance is extremely important when it comes to prospecting links, making sure that what you're writing about and the topic and theme of your website matches the kind of topic and theme of the other website you're trying to get a link from. And so there are ways to do this. You can use different tools like Ahrefs, or you can even be searching on Google for the same type of content that you write about and seeing what other websites show up and seeing if they're relevant in that way.
Yeah. So what are your expectations for SEO and Google in 2022?
Wow, expectations. I mean,
Expectations.
I just,
but I don't know. What do you think about it, or make it more easy going?
yeah, I mean, to make things a bit easier, I think if people started, like I said earlier, I think common sense is really important, and I think SEO in a lot of ways is common sense. I'm not talking about the more kind of technical aspects of it, because that can be quite tricky. But a lot of SEO really is common sense. So I think if website owners, people who kind of work on websites, SEOs, if they really just focus on what is the purpose of the websites that they're working on or with, and seeing what the value is for a user going there, if they think about what the users want, really making sure they fulfill the intent of what users want, and then everything else kind of comes into play. It's just something I'd like to see a bit more of, just because I think, like I said earlier, people try and jump through hoops, or they try and kind of have one formula that works for every website. And I don't think that's the case. I think with Google becoming much more sophisticated, with the whole areas of AI, of machine learning, it really does require a lot more thought than just a simple copy and paste approach. So that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping to see more of. Not the copy and paste approach, I mean, like people and using a bit more common sense. And like I said earlier as well, to a different question about, really looking at each website as unique and trying to really think of what makes sense to do for that website.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it depends people, and to educate people on SEO, there is a service provider and also the person who needs SEO on their website. And sometimes people don't know really what to expect from SEOs. And sometimes there's not a good implementers of, practitioners of SEO. And there are bad habits, bad taste about their services, and people get confused. So I hope people get, especially as SEO practitioners, more gain their battlefield in a way, win more places on their battlefield, so they can understand more about this common sense, value, and they are just dealing person to person. It's a relationship. It's alive, and it's a normal relationship. It's not people go to searching to communicate with a computer. They want to communicate with an identity, a personality which fits their personality and or which helps them. So putting this human approach in SEO is the most important thing. And you know, one way or the other, Google is trying to do that, but on the way there are lots of bumps and hiccups. So I hope, well, I'm sure we will get over it, because human beings always want to evolve and develop and progress. So that's our hope. That's my hope for everybody, actually, for this as a wish for 2022. Do you mind if we have one more minute? I just wanted to ask you this question because you're so good at YouTube SEO, and can you just give a little bit information about what are the advanced YouTube SEO tricks? But tricks is not real tricks. They are the methods, what I mean.
Yeah, you'd be making me list out all of the things that I, because that YouTube SEO tricks, that's a talk that I had at Brighton SEO back in September, in early September. But yeah, I mean, I can list out a couple of them because I'd say if you want to like fully read through, because it's quite a lot to go through, you can find that on my website, and I've got a YouTube video talking about it as well. But let me just really quickly list out a couple. So the first one is about, I would say metadata is quite important in the sense that when you've got video files to upload, you know, you've got your video file itself, you've also got the thumbnail file that you upload, rather than just, you know, uploading it with kind of a more bland default sort of text like image.jpg or something, you know, actually incorporating relevant keywords within these file names. Another thing that's quite cool to do is utilizing competitor names in your tags, and that's something that I've had work before, and it's something to test out. And like I said, I talk more about that in the blog post or video.
Yeah.
And one more would be using location. You know, this is something if you've got a Google My Business profile and you're a local business uploading videos, you can add your GMB location to the videos that you upload, so that can help kind of drive more location-based traffic to you when people are searching for the types of videos related to your offering. So those are 3 of the 7, and like I said, okay, you can find the other ones on the guides that I've written.
Yeah, thank you very much for today, that you just give us really brightest spots in SEO and how to do and how to think about, actually. And I want to just remind our audience that Itamar Blauer could be reachable on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm going to share all his connection details. And also his videos on YouTube is very intense, and lots of informational gems are in it. And the other thing is, every Tuesday, Itamar is on ClubHouse at Marketing Club, SEO Fundamentals. So if you want to learn from Itamar more, I just suggest you to go and check out all those resources. Thank you so much, Itamar, for today. We really appreciate your insights and all the information that you provided for us today. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great fun. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you. Take care. Take care.
Take care.